Hey everybody, so today I'm talking about depression in mothers, especially postpartum depression, because this is something I've gone through several times with, well, not several, let's just say with all my kids, and I have 3 kids. All right, so I'm gonna tell you my own story and also put in some facts and lessons and all those things. So for one, I know for a fact that I get depression during pregnancy because there are a lot of changes in your hormones during pregnancy. I mean, you hear people saying, pregnant women are like crazy. And the truth is you tend to be kind of nuts because your hormones have shifted, okay? So it pretty much can start there. Even when you don't think it's depression, it can happen. I always tend to tell people how much I hate pregnancy, and it's because for me, my hormones and my moods are so down during pregnancy, and I'm so aware of every feeling of discomfort that's happening that for the 9 months, I'm kind of in a miserable place. So, on top of that, you have the welcoming to pregnancy that is morning sickness. People have morning sickness on a light note. Some of it sometimes doesn't happen at all. And for others, what is that? Like myself, I get acute morning sickness. This is basically where I'm not eating or drinking anything because I throw up everything. So you're either hospitalized or you just go into the hospital every other day to be put on a drip. Yeah. So that can make you pretty miserable. On top of that, throughout your pregnancy, there's views and opinions of people and from people that are unsolicited. Nobody asked you. Nobody, I mean, what? The minute you're pregnant, first of all, it seems like everybody wants to touch your belly, which is insane because it's my body, stop touching me. And second, everybody has some sort of advice or tip or hack, yet you didn't ask for any of it. All right, now especially when it comes to families, they're always telling you what to do, what not to do, how to dress. For example, when it came to me, I used to like the tight clothes because it felt like my baby bump was being held tightly, and it wasn't hanging so much because I felt like when it hangs, the weight of it was too much. So when I wore like a tight top or an, not a tight top, but the tops that are more fitting, but allow for the bump, I felt like, something has, at least shikiliad me. But my father would be like, but you're pregnant, why are you wearing, fitting clothes, just going to squish the baby and cut off circulation? Anyway, so whenever you're around people, they also have something to say about even what you're wearing. On top of that, during pregnancy, oh Lord have mercy, the changes that our body goes through are insane. You get stretch marks. Some people get dark. And then you have the pregnancy nose, the pregnancy lips, the pregnancy ears, the pregnancy hands, shoulders, knees, and toes. Oh my gosh. So there's a lot of change, and people are always like, oh my gosh, your nose, oh my gosh, your legs, oh, like they're mine. I know, I get it. You emphasizing it doesn't help. It just makes me feel crappy and depressed. All right. And then there's the fact that you're gaining weight and you didn't even ask for it, and you're supposed to gain, like you can't stop eating. And sometimes you're wondering, why am I gaining so much weight, yet I'm not even eating anything unusual, right? And then there's your breasts. Everything is growing and it's looking strange and weird. And on top of all the strange things that are happening to your body, there's still that person who always wants to touch. Oh, can I touch your bump? And they don't know how painful or sensitive it can be. Oh my God, your boobs are so big. Just thinking about it just makes me depressed as it is. So that's one of the other things. Then as your pregnancy carries on, there's just the wear and tear, I would like to say. You're so tired, your clothes don't fit anymore, so you're kind of wearing anything that goes, and you're kind of not in the mood of using up so much money on a pregnancy or maternity wardrobe because you have a baby on the way anyway, so that's going to cost you money. So you just kind of wear bigger things, and that's not flattering, and it makes you feel some way, even sad as a woman sometimes. And remember, I'm just talking about the depression side of it all. I know there's some women who look great during pregnancy and they love to dress their baby bump. I know all that. I'm just talking about the parts that can lead and add to depression, right? Okay, then there is the sleepless nights. I remember from the get-go, like I would not be able to sleep because I woke up so often to go and pee, and I didn't even have a bump yet. Then the bump came and I couldn't figure out which position to sleep in. I had 25 pillows on my bed and still that wasn't good enough. There wasn't enough space in the bed. It was too hot, it was too cold. Then you don't have enough sleep at night, yet you have to get up and go to work just like everybody else. So that can be also very depressing. So your skin changes. I get this crazy breakout of acne when I'm pregnant, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help because even now when I'm not pregnant and I have the acne, it already kind of feels stressful. So I can only imagine when you're pregnant, you've got a breakout of acne and everything is changing, and so fast. It can be quite depressing. So when we're also pregnant, we have a poor immune system. It's not the same as with regular people, and that's why we can't eat certain things, and that means sometimes we get sick more. For example, colds during pregnancy are so depressing. It can be so difficult to deal with. Also, if you eat something that doesn't work with you when you're pregnant, the so-called food poisoning is to an extra level altogether. All right, so we at that point we just need some form of support, and sometimes just having good girlfriends, good a good husband or partner to talk to. Also, there's those who, when you tell your boyfriend or significant other that you're pregnant, boom, they've hit the door and they've gone and left you as a single mom. And this is so painful and so depressing because the pregnancy carries on. All right, other things that can cause depression is, of course, the anxiety and fear leading to birth. Maybe you can't even afford the birth at that time. Maybe you haven't bought baby clothes. You're just not ready, and it's not something that you wanted, and things are not going the way you wanted, and it just feels too much for you. And then there's the birth itself. The way we give birth greatly adds to what happens after birth, okay? So a lot of you have asked me, why in the world would I give birth at home with no painkillers? Well, for one, I hate the hospitals because they don't, from what I experienced, I wasn't treated with so much love and care, especially because I'm in so much pain and I'm coming to have a baby. So I didn't want to be treated just like, you sit here or you lie down here, not being heard. So I decided that's one reason I was going to have my baby at home. That can be depressing. The day of your birth and your labor, you're being treated so badly, and that can just make you feel like you're not good enough, you're not worthy, and even that your child isn't worthy of the attention and care, yet you're paying for it. Another thing is the pain. Labor is by far the most painful thing I've ever experienced, and it just helps when there's somebody who can support you through that. I do it without the painkillers because I realized for me there was nothing that could take away the pain per se, and actually it was easier to have a peaceful environment for me mentally so I could manage the pain instead of being under so much stress. So for me, the stress and the strain and the equipment and the strangers and the needles and whatnot actually made that whole process more painful for me, I think. Probably psychological, but that's just me. But at home, only the people I wanted were there. So my husband was there, I had a midwife, my kids were there, and my kids bring me so much joy, so I felt I could hack it. So, and then I had, the TV, I could eat whatever I wanted, so that was good. Other people give birth through induction. The induction drug is also a hormone, so you have to deal with that as well. And after giving birth, that rise and ups and down in your hormones will tend to lead you to feel a certain way, and feeling depressed is part of it. There are those who gave birth through a C-section. Maybe it was an emergency, and because of that, perhaps you had planned to go natural and something went wrong, or you just opted for a C-section, and then later you realize, oh my gosh, this is really painful. I'm going to have to go through all the stitches and all the pain for the next God knows how many months. So there you are, you've had a difficult labor as it is, and now there's the recovery process. And during recovery, maybe you don't have help, you know, and then you have somebody who's like, oh, get up and feed the baby or wash the baby, and you can't even walk, especially if you've had a CS. And people are looking at you, but giving birth is like, you know, pooping, so what's the big deal? But they don't actually understand that even just the CS, I think there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 layers of you that are cut until you get to the baby, and that means stitches, 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 and it's painful. And you wouldn't talk to anybody who's just had an operation the way you talk to women who've just had a baby. So it's unfair, and it can be very depressing. So at that point, you have the crash and the shift in hormones from pregnancy hormones to now like after birth hormones, you know, and then you've got the pain and the recovery of it, even if you didn't have a CS. And then of course you've got now the sleepless nights, baby waking up all the time. And then you've got you know, people calling, and then you've got yourself, you know, thinking, am I doing things right? Is my baby okay? Why is my baby crying? Discovering a new you and a new baby can be very depressing if you have no idea what you're doing. First of all, I've had 3 kids, and still I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing because all my kids are so different, and I still crash. And what ends up happening is I stay up all night Googling this or Googling that, and it just doesn't help because I'm so anxious about my baby's survival and me doing the right thing, especially because people are going to ask, oh, are you feeding? Oh, the baby cries, and everybody thinks they know. Ah, nyonyeshe, analia, oh, change them, they're crying. Oh, why is, you know, the baby is in the same clothes they were in yesterday, hujaosha mtoto. And I'm just thinking, first of all, this is a newborn baby. They are not going anywhere. Maybe it's, you know, you're tired or whatever. What difference does it make if the baby is in the same clothes they were in yesterday? Where are they going? Are they working out? Are they like breaking a sweat? Seriously, give me a break. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. And then there's just people who expect you to go on as normal. I remember when I had my daughter, that's my husband's first child, and after birth I came down one time to get water from the kitchen, and then he was like, hey babe, can you make me a sandwich? And I looked at him like, let me tell you something, I'm not doing anything for anybody. I just had a kid yesterday. I think it was, yeah, the day before, and I'm like, just because I'm walking and I look fine doesn't mean I'm okay. I feel like I was hit by a truck, and then I feel like a truck came out of my vagina. So please leave me alone. And when I said that, immediately my husband and my firstborn son started to pick up in the house and do things and even take care of me because I communicated something. The pain of birth and after birth and breastfeeding, ooh, Lord have mercy, and can also lead you to be very depressed. I mean, you've seen people who are in pain for a long time. They get cranky. So it is something that contributes to it. Other than, of course, being so tired, there's also the fact that you feel guilty that you're not good enough for this baby, because maybe the baby is crying all the time and you don't know what it means. You're so tired, you look like crap, you feel like crap. So you just feel a certain way, and perhaps your family members and visitors are coming over and they're saying, oh, mbona hujafanya hivi, nike kuhana, you know, people are insensitive, so it adds to it. And again, like I said, unsolicited views. So I'm going to talk about my postpartum depression, and from there I'm going to share some of the symptoms. like sadness, a sadness that just doesn't go away. You've just had a baby, but you're so sad. I remember feeling useless because when I was pregnant, I was useful. My body was doing something, but once the baby came out of me, it felt like I had been used and dumped, you know. And then now here I am, the baby just keeps crying, my milk is still kicking in, she doesn't know how to suckle, I don't know how to make her suckle, we're all crying, you know. So there was also crying, and from nowhere we're just constantly crying. That's another symptom that something is wrong. When you're anxious, you're constantly checking on your baby. When the baby sleeps, you're like, oh my gosh, are they okay? Are they okay? Or you feel like, I don't want to hold my baby, I don't want to touch my baby, I need to get out of the house, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So that anxiety is something else that could be a symptom that you're going through postpartum depression. There is paranoia. I remember always saying, did you lock the doors? Did you lock the doors? I think I had a sound. Go and check. This could hurt my baby. This could hurt my baby. Like, I was so paranoid about everything and anything that could endanger, sorry about that, my baby or myself and my family at that time. You could be very irritable, and an unusual kind of irritable, not just tired, like you are irritated by any and everything. There is insomnia, that is lack of sleep. Even when you can sleep, you just have lack of sleep, and that's another symptom. Then you also tend to abandon yourself. You don't take care of yourself. So not that you're even tired. Even when your husband comes and says, let me hold the baby and give you a moment to take a shower, you are like, I don't care, I don't want. That abandoning yourself, the house, the baby, is also another symptom. You can have dark thoughts of wanting to hurt yourself or your baby. I remember sharing how I just wanted to put a pillow over my baby's face or drown my baby, and I had to battle with that. And it's not that I'm a horrible person, it's just part of the whole depression. Okay, it is a mental health issue at this point. What's the other thing? Well, from that you can also, especially if it's a prolonged thing, this is not something that just happens immediately after. It starts to kick in when things should be getting better, and when things should be more stable is when now you see this person is not getting out of that funk. Then this is not being tired anymore. This is not, you know, the pain is gone. Things are somewhat should be back to normal, and they're still in a funk. That's a symptom right there. So let's talk about solutions. First, you need to acknowledge that something is not right. If what I've said and you're in like 6 months, past 6 weeks, and you're feeling the things that I've said, then I think you need to acknowledge that something is not right and you're in depression. And then I need you to know that, first of all, it is normal. Lots of women go through it, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it, that you're not able to care for your child or yourself, or that you even feel like hurting your child. It is a condition. Then you need a support system. You need to talk to people you can trust, your friends, your family, your husband, even a counselor. If none of them will listen, look for a counselor. Go to a group like, you know, on Facebook or wherever on social media, and look for groups that offer support for this, and share there, and you will get the help that you need. But do not sit quietly, because that's going to eat you up as well. Another thing is also like trying to get some more time in. Maybe you're tired. So what I started doing is I started pumping at 3 weeks. I started pumping and showing the baby how to use a bottle, even if I was breastfeeding, because this would allow for me to just sleep and somebody else could feed the baby with my milk using a bottle. Also, it would allow me to get a moment to go outside, you know, because we need to get out of the house, just walk, get some fresh air. Walking is a great form of exercise, and exercise kicks off those happy hormones, the endorphins that make you feel better. So getting out of the house and exercising, getting help, talking about it, acknowledging it, and then changing the environment. Sometimes it's good to just leave and go away for a week, not a week, but a day or two. It could be to your mother's house, it could be to your sister's house, it could be even in the house, just changing things around, you know. bringing in flowers and things that make you feel better. Another thing is, forgive yourself, go easy on yourself, understand that this is a normal thing, you're not a horrible person, all right? And also it helps to control the environment even from before when it comes to environment. I remember before I went into birth and labor and birth, I told my family members that I do not want visitors after the baby, and I was very, very strict about this. And if you came to my door, I would turn you away. And people would think, you know, I'm rude, but I didn't care what they thought at that point. The only people who were allowed was my mother-in-law, immediate family, my mother-in-law, my father, my parents, my brothers, and my husband's sisters. That was it. And for those of you watching, you can support these people by calling first, and then saying, can I come over and help you, you know, clean up the house a bit, or hold the baby so you can shower. One of the things that my mother-in-law did that was a great gift was that she hired a chef to come and cook and, you know, just clean after they were done every day, I think for a month, and it really helped. So there's also having depression, but also knowing somebody who has depression and how to deal with it. In general, I don't think that once somebody has just had a baby that you should be flocking their house and expecting tea and cookies and all of those things. Give the person time. Give them even those 2 weeks, 3 weeks before you start going over to see them. And if you go over, take some food, take some tea, go over ready to help, if it's cleaning, if it's holding the baby, if it's washing clothes for the baby, whatever it is. Just offer your support as well, and be there willing to listen and to remove judgment, because we are not all the same. And we're not talking about somebody who's just being mean, we're talking about somebody who's got depression. So I hope this has been helpful. Let me hear how you dealt with your depression, how you were feeling during the depression, and what helped during depression. And if there are any other topics you want me to talk about, I would be glad to hear them as well. And please like, share, and subscribe. All right, love you. Mwah.